Hey there everyone, and welcome back to Utility Sports. Today we're coming at you with a video that's a little bit different than stuff we've done on the channel before. So if this is something you are interested in seeing more often, hit that like button on today's video. Also subscribe if you are new. That would help us a lot here at Utility Sports on the road to 4,000 subscribers. And this video is going to be focused on the Los Angeles Lakers. There's been a lot of discussion during our live stream that we had the other day for free agency. And a lot of fanboys specifically are saying that the Los Angeles Lakers should be considered one of the favorites, if not the favorite, to win the 2022 NBA championship, and I just don't see it. Personally, I think that the Los Angeles Lakers have a lot of flaws on this current roster, and there's a lot of things that I think aren't going to pan out well for the Los Angeles Lakers. So if you're a Lakers fan, please don't get upset with me. Please just try and hear me out. Look at the evidence I'm presenting for this and see, hey, maybe this guy's on to something that this team isn't necessarily built as is right now to win an NBA championship. Rob Pelinka is going to have to make some moves during the season and figure out kind of what's working and what isn't for this roster. And also, Frank Vogel is going to have a lot on his plate. So let's go ahead here and talk about why the Los Angeles Lakers will not win the 2022 NBA championship. And first of all, here, let's start off with what the current roster looks like. At point guard, you have Russell Westbrook, of course, the big acquisition in the deal with the Washington Wizards. He gave up Montrezl Harrell, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Kyle Kuzma, and also picked 22 in that trade. There was a lot of controversy around that deal, but he healed. Could have been an option for both. At that point, I believe it was Kyle Kuzma and Montrezl Harrell in a deal for Buddy Hield. That would have been really interesting to me. Instead, they decided to throw in a few more assets, go with the Russell Westbrook route. And I understand why. You bring in a third star. A lot of people say the NBA is about star power. It's about star power. It's about star power. Milwaukee Bucks have one star. Chris Middleton was playing kind of like a star, but let's be real, he's not a star player. They had one star and just won the NBA championship. You don't necessarily need to have three stars, especially when there's certain things about fit and how they're going to play together. But we'll talk about that a little bit further into the video. Talen Horton-Tucker, I expect to be at the 2 at the start of the year. Kent Bazemore probably fits into the starting lineup in my estimation, with LeBron playing the 4 and Anthony Davis surprisingly playing center. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen on night 1, but he's going to have to figure that out, because I don't know how this lineup can work with a true center in there with Russell Westbrook, LeBron, Anthony Davis, and a center like Dwight Howard or Marc Gasol. I think that is a mess. But then there's other issues with not starting a real center, which we'll talk about. Kendrick Nunn here, coming off the bench with Malik Monk. Those were two nice signings on the minimum. I think that Rob Pelinka did a very good job bringing those two guys in. We'll talk about why a little bit later on in the video as well. Carmelo Anthony, an interesting signing there. Wayne Ellington, a sharpshooter. Trevor Ariza coming off the bench along with the two centers, Dwight Howard and Marc Gasol, that are currently on their roster. Now, a big question mark too for the Lakers is, will Dennis Schroeder sign somewhere? And will there be a trade exception that helps the Lakers get a little bit of flexibility for the season? So now, what is my first issue with this team? The fit around the big three. Shooting and defense specifically are two things you're going to need to put around LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Russell Westbrook. That trio, not really known defensively to be the best trio on the floor in the NBA. You're looking at Russell Westbrook, who, yeah, sure, he gets in the passing lanes, he gets steals, makes some big plays defensively, but he's not a defensive stopper. He's not someone you're going to put on a number 1 ball handler and say, hey, Russell Westbrook, go guard him all playoff series long. LeBron James isn't at that point anymore in his career. He's going to be 37 years old in December. I am one of the biggest LeBron James fans of all time. I like him as a player. He is very, very talented, and defensively, when he turns it on, he can still make plays. However, for 48 minutes in a playoff series, in a game for the playoffs, is he going to be on the best player all game long? No. And also, you're looking at the shooting right now. When Russ, Anthony Davis, and LeBron James are on the floor together, who is shooting the basketball? I think Anthony Davis is one of the most overrated jump shooters in the NBA. And if you don't believe me right now, pause the video, go look it up on Basketball Reference right now, and look what his career three-point percentage is. You're going to be awfully surprised to find how inefficient he actually is as a three-point shooter. I think a lot of people label him as a stretch big. Newsflash, he's not Karl Anthony Towns shooting 40% from 3. That's not how he is as a shooter. It's a swing skill for him. He shoots fairly well wide open. He's not a guy you want to leave wide open, but he's not some marksman from deep where you're like, oh no, Anthony Davis about to shoot a three-pointer with a hand in his face. No one's worried about that in the NBA. Let's be honest with ourselves. So who are the shooters they have on this team? Wayne Ellington, really the only true pure shooter on this team. Let's be honest with ourselves. He is a marksman. He is very, very good in that role. but defensively, he's terrible. So there's a little bit of give and take with Wayne Ellington on this roster. Trevor Ariza, probably one of the better 3-and-D players on this team. However, he's older at this point. He's 36 years old. You're looking at Trevor Ariza not necessarily being a guy that you're going to be able to rely on for 30 minutes a night like they were with Contavious Caldwell-Pope. He's going to be more of a 20-minute-a-night kind of guy at best. He's been jumping around the league a little bit with Sacramento, Washington, a few other places after his stint in Houston. Malik Monk shot over 40% from three last year. I just don't know if it's sustainable because the year prior he shot 29% from three. You would hope having two elite playmakers who can drive and dish like Russ and LeBron James is going to help keep that number up around that 40% mark. But if it doesn't, you're going to have some more issues with finding Malik Monk in the playoffs because he's smaller, not going to be the best defender. And if the shot's not falling from three, then you've got real concerns. Kendrick Nunn, he can shoot the three ball. He's going to shoot about 35% from three this next season. That is pretty decent. And Kent Bazemore just shot 40% from three, but again, his career percentage is a little bit under 35%, I believe. So you're looking at Kent Bazemore being an okay shooter. Again, not great. So you're looking at one marksman really from this collection of shooters, and that's Wayne Ellington, and he's got some of his downfalls. And then defensively, Anthony Davis. There's so much pressure on him this year. The key thing about the Lakers the last 2 years when they've been so good, when they won an NBA championship in 2020, and even this past year as they were fighting through injuries, they've been the best defensive team in the world every single season under Frank Vogel so far in 2 years. And this year I've got some serious questions. Anthony Davis is going to be a lot of pressure on him. And a key part of why they've been so successful is running a center defensively to be that backline help guy behind Anthony Davis. You have good size, good versatility, and a lot of shot blocking around the rim. Offensively now, I don't know if you're able to run that big man. Like we were talking about earlier, what does an offense of Russell Westbrook, Wayne Ellington, possibly LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Dwight Howard look like on the floor? Who is going to have spacing? Russell Westbrook can get left wide open from three. He's one of the worst shooters from three in the NBA, especially with the volume he shoots at. LeBron James, decent shooter, good shooter, but that's not really what you want from him. You don't want him shooting 8 threes a game. That's not really his play style. Again, I talked about Anthony Davis's three-point capabilities. Marc Gasol can step out, but defensively he's terrible. Dwight Howard comes in, he can rebound, protect the rim a little bit, but he's not spacing the floor for anybody. I know that there's some videos going around getting viral right now about him shooting the three ball. Don't believe that hype. I'm just telling you right now that shot does not look good, and that will not be a big part of his NBA game this next year. So defensively, Anthony Davis, Trevor Ariza, Dwight Howard are your three best defenders probably, not including LeBron James, because when he's not fully engaged on that end of the floor, let's just be honest, he's not a top three defender on this team. Trevor Ariza, 20 minutes a night. He's your best perimeter defender. You've got some problems, honestly, here. Perimeter defense is going to be a massive pitfall for this Los Angeles Lakers team, especially when you're playing Anthony Davis at the 5. Sure, AD protects the rim pretty well, but if you have a floor spacing big that Anthony Davis has to contest out on the perimeter, there's very limited rim protection for this Lakers roster, especially when the centers aren't in the game like Dwight Howard. So now you're looking at some problems where teams, if they beat you off the dribble from the perimeter against bad perimeter defenders, they're going to be getting some easy baskets around the rim. I have question marks. Frank Vogel's going to have to do a lot of mastermind work to figure out how this defense is going to work. Probably see a higher usage of 2-3 zone than we've ever seen in a Frank Vogel defense before. Didn't use it a lot in Indiana. And remember, a key part of Frank Vogel is that rim protection element. He made Roy Hibbert famous for that back when he was coaching Indiana. Now he's been doing such a good job of that with the Los Angeles Lakers, and I question the ability and the capability of this team to fit around that element of his defensive scheme. Now another issue here is the age of this roster. The oldest team by average age to ever win an NBA championship was the 97-98 Bulls with an average age of 32.1 years. And remember, that was the Bulls team that got a documentary, The Last Dance Bulls. Okay, that's Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman on that team. You have an elite trio of guys that actually really fit together. You have a point forward, an elite scorer, one of the best scorer of all time, probably, and then also looking at the best rebounder and defender of all time, arguably, in Dennis Rodman. Now moving to this 2021-2022 Lakers average age, 31.833 years of age based off the 12 guys I showed earlier on their roster. Now, if they had a couple older guys as well, then that age goes up a little bit too. You're looking at a team that is very, very old, and if it wasn't for Talen Horton-Tucker only turning 21 this year, Malik Monk being young, and Kendrick Nunn being young, this average age would be probably up around 34, 35 years old. a key amount of their players are up over that 34-year-old mark. So this is an old team, and the identity is a question mark for me right now, like I talked about with fit. So they're not built like the Bulls were back in 97, 98. This team has a lot more flaws, especially in today's modern NBA. Another key issue here is health. Anthony Davis missed 36 games this past season. That was half the year in the shortened season. And his overall health in general, he is very, very injury prone. He misses a lot of games. His durability has been a real question mark for me ever since he came in the league, basically. He's had 2 seasons in his career where he played more than 70 games. And there's been more seasons where he missed more than 15 games. So if he's missing time during the regular season, you have to question the continuity come playoff time. How many games has Russell Westbrook played with Anthony Davis by the time that they're in the first round of the playoffs? How many games has LeBron, Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook, Wayne Ellington, and insert player X into that lineup been together on the floor? There's going to be limited continuity with this roster. And LeBron James, he's been the model of health and consistency throughout the first 15 years of his career. For the last couple of years, he's had some issues with the ankle, the groin. He missed 27 games last year. I love LeBron James. I think he's a phenomenal player, probably the best player of all time, in my opinion. I'm not trying to discredit LeBron here, but it would be incredulous for me to say that I think he'll play 82 games this next year. My guess is anywhere between 60 and 68 games is what I expect LeBron James to play next season. And again, then I have questions about the continuity of this roster and how many games that they'll actually play together. That was a big issue with the Clippers their first year in the playoffs with Kawhi Leonard, Paul George. They didn't have continuity and it hurt them come playoff time. They didn't have their minutes figured out. They didn't have the rotation set. And Frank Vogel might have some of the same issues this next season with the Los Angeles Lakers. Then you're looking at a tough Western Conference yet. I know a lot of people are saying, well, the Western Conference, who's stopping the Lakers? I mean, the Phoenix Suns just looked really, really good. I know they ran into some injured teams, but still, you're looking at a team that is very, very young at this point. I know Chris Paul's up there in age. There's some questions about health for him too. This is not focused on the Phoenix Suns. This video is not. I'm not saying the Suns are a lock to get back to the finals either, but I think Devin Booker probably gets better. DeAndre Ayton probably takes a step forward. Mikal Bridges has been improving greatly every single year in the league. That team is still young, and the continuity is going to help them, as well as adding JaVale McGee, who I think is a really nice backup center option for them. Kind of helps fill out their depth a little bit too. Now, is Cam Payne going to play the same way? I don't know. But the Suns are still a really great team. The Utah Jazz probably going to come back angry next year. They also added Eric Pascal. They've gotten better on the edges of that roster there in Utah. I also think that Utah is going to come in probably a little angry about the way the season ended. And if Donovan Mitchell can stay healthy in the playoffs, they're going to be a team to be reckoned with. And I think Rudy Gobert could cause some real problems to this Lakers roster come playoff time with his ability to protect the rim, especially if the Lakers shots aren't falling from 3. The Golden State Warriors are back to being relevant. They added Andre Iguodala the day I'm recording this. You're also looking at a team that is getting Klay Thompson back for the first time in 2 years. They won 39 games last year, won 39 and 33. Steph Curry was lighting the world on fire. Now you bring in some real scoring threats in Moses Moody, Jonathan Kuminga, Klay Thompson's back. I love what this team has. I think the Warriors are one of the best teams in the NBA again. I think a lot of people are sleeping on them. And then there's other teams I don't want you guys to sleep on. The Los Angeles Clippers and the Dallas Mavericks. The Mavericks took a healthy Clippers team to 7 games when Kawhi Leonard was healthy. And I think we can all acknowledge if Kawhi Leonard didn't tear his ACL in the playoffs, they probably would have been representing the Western Conference in the NBA Finals this past year. And the Mavericks took that team that was healthy to 7 games and almost pulled it out. The Mavericks are going to be really good. Luka Doncic is going to get even better again. Kristaps Porzingis, hopefully with a new coach and Jason Kidd, can kind of find his role again. The Mavericks added more shooting this offseason. They're a very, very good team, and the sky is the limit for them. And the Clippers, they're going to find their identity with Paul George running the show. Reggie Jackson's back in. I think a lot of people are sleeping on the Los Angeles Clippers, and I see them as a team that's going to be still making noise in the West. Now, I don't know if they're going to be a team that makes it to the conference finals, but don't sleep on them. I think that if they get hot in a series from 3 with the way that this team is built, they can still be very dangerous in a series. We saw that against the Utah Jazz with the way they closed it out without Kawhi Leonard. And even against the Suns, that Valley oop from Jay Crowder, that's one game that the Suns ended up stealing away from the Clippers. And then also the game 4 that was really pivotal back in Staples Center, where the reffing and officiating was very questionable down the stretch. A few key plays didn't get reviewed. The Clippers could have easily still taken that series without Kawhi Leonard. Do not sleep on the Los Angeles Clippers. And don't forget about the Brooklyn Nets. They are the best team in the league. They have the best big three, arguably ever, in Kevin Durant, James Harden, Kyrie Irving. They almost took down the Milwaukee Bucks, who just won the NBA championship, with a very, very hobbled James Harden, who did not look anything like himself. And then no Kyrie Irving for the back half of that series. And they were still about 3 inches away because of Kevin Durant's big toe from taking down the Milwaukee Bucks. Ended up losing in overtime in Game 7. The Brooklyn Nets are the best team in the league. They have phenomenal role players. They brought in some really nice rookies as well in Cam Thomas, Day'Ron Sharpe, guys who really fit what they're looking to add to this roster. And if they're healthy, they're going to be the best team in the league and probably walk away with the 2022 NBA championship. The Lakers are not winning the 2022 NBA championship. You can book it now. If you disagree with me, you can subscribe, stick around the channel, and if I'm wrong, let me know a year from now. But I'm telling you, the Los Angeles Lakers will not win the 2022 NBA championship. Go ahead, screen record it, put it wherever you want. I'm telling you right now, it's not happening. The Brooklyn Nets are a much better team. I think there's better teams out west as well based off fit. And I just think that this big three in LA is getting a little overhyped because the fit isn't there for me. I just don't see it. So hopefully you guys did enjoy today's video. Let me know how you feel about the Los Angeles Lakers. Maybe you can call me a hater, even though I like some of the players on the team. I'm a Russell Westbrook fan. I like LeBron James. I just don't see the fit. Not trying to hate, but I'd love to know what your guys' thoughts are. Are the Lakers representing the West in the NBA Finals a year from now? Leave it in the comment section. Thanks again so much for watching. Leave a like if you did enjoy today's video. A lot of work goes into these style of videos, so hopefully you do enjoy, and we'll catch you in the very next Utility Sports video.